What's shaping classrooms? Where do we go? Policy shifting, rules on the move. Parents and teachers get in the groove. No more confusion, no more delay. Facts that matter right here today. Polity Pulse, breaking it down. Education news, straight from the ground. What's changing now? What's coming next? Stay informed, don't second guess. Decisions are made, the future's at stake. Let's get the facts, there's too much at play. This is Policy Pulse, Education Edition. Decisions are made, the future's at stake. Let's get the facts, there's too much at play. This is Policy Pulse, Education Edition.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of, you know it, Policy Pulse, right? The Education Edition. I'm so excited. I know we're getting started a little later than we normally do, and I do apologize. But I want to make sure that I just welcome each and every one of you. This is part 10, the final chapter, the final episode of our Title I series of Policy Pulse. We've covered the rights, we've covered the documentation, we've covered how you escalate a Title I compliance issue, we've covered how you actually go about filing, and tonight what we are going to hone in on, zero in, stand 10 toes down on is enforcement. Once you file a complaint, what happens? Who is doing what? That's what we'll be talking about tonight. What actually happened once you, the parent, the caregiver, the grandparent, the guardian, the adult who is advocating on behalf of children, what happens when you actually use the process that we have learned about, that we have talked about? That's what we're covering tonight. So are y'all ready to get started? I hope so. All right, here we go, you guys. So as I said, this is part 10. I want you to be really, really clear about where we are, what we're talking about, all of the things, right? For those of you that don't know me, real quick, I have been in the education space for 25 years, 15 of which I spent in the classroom. I started teaching middle school English language arts, then I taught elementary school, and before I left the classroom, I was teaching high school. So I am currently the founder and CEO of Dreams KC, where we empower parents with the tools they need to teach their children foundational literacy skills, right? I partner with schools in this endeavor, and I'm super excited to do that work because I understand when parents operate from a place of power, right? Then we begin to see things change for systems, for schools, for their children. I'm a literacy advocate. I'm a grandmother. I'm a parent. So I am not outside of this work. I'm actually in it with you. So I always want you all to understand that I am not my brother or sister's keeper, but I am my brother and sister. That's the way I always want you all to think of me and to understand that that's how I show up in the work. Okay. All right. So let's get to it. Let's get to it tonight, you guys. Let's get to it. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the best way to make sure this is up here so you can see it. Before we always get started, I always give a very brief disclaimer to let you all know that the views and opinions expressed in the Policy Pulse Education Edition broadcast are the views of Katina Taylor. They do not represent any funder, any school partner, any organization that I am affiliated with. All right. So I always like to let you all know that. As we jump in, one of the things that I like to make sure you all are clear about is what is education policy, right? It's not abstract. It's the laws, it's the regulations, it's the rules, it's the guidelines that really govern how schools and school districts are organized, how they're funded, and how they're run. It determines when students learn, how schools operate, and what rights families have. So Title I clearly falls into education policy, and policy is power. That's what I want each and every one of you to know, that policy absolutely is power. Okay. All right. So what have we covered so far? Remember, I told you all that we are operating, or I shouldn't say operating. This is the final of a 10-part series. So this is part 10 of our 10-part series, specifically addressing Title I. So in part 1, we just talked about what Title I is. Where do we get this? So it's a federal law. The ESSA, right? Every Student Succeeds Act is a federal statute. Specifically, Section 1116 addresses Title I. So I wanted to talk about Title I, and you can go back and look at that on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. All of these sessions are there. So, and then in part 2, we talked about what are your rights under the federal statute? What is it that you are given by law that directly impacts the academic outcomes of your children? Then we went into part 3, where we talked about the language in the statute that says parents are to jointly develop plans, policies that impact their particular school. Okay, that is the language in the statute. You shall, as a parent, jointly develop certain policies around parent engagement, parent involvement, and the allocation of Title I dollars. Okay. In part 4, we talked about the required plans, right? So the parent engagement plans and things of that nature. We talked about in part 5, the required meetings. What does the statute say? What is meaningful engagement? There's a series of meetings that should be happening, not you just showing up for the annual Title I meeting and then your school or your school district says that they've complied with the statute, because that's just not true. Then we talked about, well, my school hasn't been doing all the things you said in parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So clearly there's some red flags here. I think they're not in compliance. So we talked in detail in part 6 about non-compliance, right? Part 7, we went into escalation. If I find that these red flags exist, we know what's required in the statute. Katina, what do we do? Then I walked you through how to escalate that. What is it that we need to do to ensure that my school leader, my district level Title I administrator, like all the stakeholders are aware of what's happening, how parents are being disempowered when they should be empowered. And then how do we navigate that? Part 8, we talked about documentation, right? If it ain't written down, if it's not documented, if you don't have any receipts, you can't move forward in the complaint process. So you write down everything, you document everything. Part 9, last week, what did I talk about? I talked about filing. Now that I've gathered all of this information, we've noted everything, we have the documentation, then what? Right? So how do we file this? And last but certainly not least, then what happens? What happens? I've gone through all of these steps. I got all this information. It's about enforcement. This is civic literacy. Remember, I said I'm a literacy advocate, not just teaching people how to read, right? But reading to learn. That's where we shift. Literacy impacts our ability to engage civically. So this is where I'm taking you. That's why I'm bringing you along, because all of these things have to be in place for literacy to happen for our children, for positive academic outcomes to occur for our children. This is power. And for far too long, what I have realized is that many parents, many guardians, many family members have not felt empowered to advocate for their children. So I wanted to make sure that I made it clear. What's my standing? What gives me the right to be able to advocate for my child, my children in the educational system, right? So if you understand the structure, you are no longer operating from misinformation. You are no longer operating from confusion. You are not operating from emotion, but you're operating based on the power that has been given to you by the federal law. That's it. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. All right. So I just want to make sure we're really clear on where we are, where we're going, where we've been, you guys. And I'll tell you that even though this is the last session, part 10 of the 10-part series, the work does not end. And we'll talk about that. So tonight really is about power, process, and protection, right? When you file, what happens next? That's what it is. It's filing the Title I complaint, because that's just the beginning. And then what? That means you still have to show up at the meetings. You still have to send the emails. You still have to organize and get other family members, other families within your school environment, your district involved and engaged. We have to work together. Remember last week I said 1 is good. You don't have to have permission to file, but 10 is better. And I mean that figuratively, right? You want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. That's the notion here that we're talking about. All right. So I want to make sure that you guys are extremely clear of where we're going, where we've been, and all the good things. All right. So I want you to be really clear about something before we move forward. And that's simply this. Once you file your complaint, systems begin to move in ways that they didn't before. But they don't move, as I've said before, and I'll keep repeating it, they don't move emotionally. They move procedurally. They do not move emotionally, they move procedurally. And I need you to sit with that, because it is emotional when we talk about the academic achievement of our children. These are our most precious gifts in the world. So when it comes to our children, we get real emotional real quick. But we need to take a deep breath. We need to take a step back and we say, no, we're going to follow the procedure to ensure that my children get what they need. I will operate in the power that has been given to me. And I'm going to follow the procedure so no one can stand and say, I didn't. And therefore, they can give pushback. So I want you all to be really clear about this, okay? This is not about emotion. This is about procedure. So what actually does happen after you file, right? What actually does happen after you file? So I will tell you, the first thing that happens is that the complaint, you take it down to, you can do a couple of things, right? So you've gone to your school principal. No resolve. You've gone to the district Title I administrator. maybe no resolve. Now, if you're in a charter, the structure may be different. That may mean you went to the principal or the executive director. You might need to escalate to the board. But they should be able to tell you, because remember what we talked about is they should have a complaint process in writing to tell us how to navigate it, who to go to and when. So you file the complaint is logged. They timestamp it just like if you were to go turn something in at the courthouse. That's the acknowledgement. You want a copy of that complaint with that timestamp on it, right? If you email it, keep that email in your sent. You know when it was sent. And then some email tools, when they open it up and read it, you can set it up where you know they read it, just like a text message, right? They should send you something back saying, hey, we acknowledge it. We've received this on this day at this time. Now, internally, you won't see this, but questions going to start being asked because someone is going to want to know, how is it that we find ourselves in a position where someone is filing a complaint, right? So they start the internal review process. And they're going to look at everything that you've given them. All of your documentation is going to be examined, looked over, read, highlighted, underlined. They're going to do everything to try to follow the trail. What has occurred here? What red flags? They may go to their legal department for some advice, for some support. And I will tell you, they are required to give you a written response. This is when this becomes a legal document, not just a conversation. This is a legal matter, not just a complaint. People understand and know after you've done all of this documentation, hey, she's serious about things. He's serious about things. They are, as a collective, this group of parents are serious. And they then know that they have to respond to you in a certain way. Okay? So I want you to be really, really clear about that. Behind the scenes, things get moving. They're going to have meetings. They're going to start asking some questions. Somebody's going to want to know, how do we get here? And that's okay. In the meantime, you keep doing what you've been doing, right? I want you to be really, really clear about that. You keep doing what you've been doing. You're going to the meetings, you're asking the questions, you're documenting everything. Okay? They got to also be doing some things like pulling emails. If you said you sent an email on a certain time, certain day, all the things in your documentation, they're going to go back and look at those emails. They're going to be reviewing their policies. Where a policy says this, why wasn't this done? Who didn't understand what needed to happen? You're going to say there was only the annual Title I meeting. If a principal or someone else said, no, we have multiple meetings, they're going to be checking meeting minutes. Were you there? They're going to audit compliance documents. Schools are required to turn in certain documents to show compliance. So at the district level or the state level, we're going to start looking at these compliance documents because you said you did X, Y, and Z to show you were in compliance. Did you really? Let us take a look. Last but certainly not least, they're going to look at that federal statute. What does ESSA section 1116 say? This is serious. This is structured. It is not personal. They're going to dissect your claim as if you were in court. As if you had a car accident and somebody trying to figure out who's at fault. Everything is going to be dissected. That's why we want to be honest. We want to be upfront. We want to have receipts at all times. So I want you all to be really, really clear about that. Okay? All right, let's keep moving, y'all. So you say, all right, Katina, they're doing all this stuff in the background. Then what? And we've talked about some of these things before. So I want you to be really, really clear about what can happen next. So possible outcomes can be corrective action plans. Maybe they look at their policy. Somebody wasn't trained correctly or wasn't written clearly. They may have to revise their policies. Staff training. Is this a new principal? Is this a new Title I coordinator? Have they been trained effectively? State monitoring. State gets involved. Hey, this seems to be going on for some time now. So maybe we need to come in and monitor and support you as a school district, as an individual school. And I will tell you, and I've told you before, funding then is at risk. And I would hate for any school or school district to lose their funding. What I hate more, though, is that parents aren't given an opportunity to fully engage and participate in the way that the law says. And because of that, perhaps, academic outcomes for children suffer. So let me be really clear. I don't like to, and I hope you don't want to protect power, position, and paychecks. We are all here to serve the needs of children, and that's who we should be protecting. If it's at the state level, they're going to have formal findings. We've looked at all the information. We looked at all the documentation. We reviewed everything. So this is what we have found. And that is not about retaliation. It's not about punishing some principal or teacher or administrator or somebody we don't like. It's not about that. It is, you expect certain things from parents and caregivers and students. And we also expect something from you. This is what we call regulatory enforcement. Okay? We got rules and regulations that dictate how we move. And this is just enforcement of the rules and regulations that we already have in place. Compliance is not optional. And that's what I need people to understand. I need parents, you all first and foremost. People don't get to pick and choose. We see that enough. It's federal law. And it's extremely, extremely important right now, more than ever, for a lot of reasons, for us to ensure that it's followed. So I want you to be really, really clear about that, okay? All right, let's keep it moving, y'all. Let's keep it moving. I feel like we're moving really fast, right? All right, so what should you expect? What should you expect? This is it. I want you to be really realistic about this, okay? It's going to take some time. I would like to say you're going to file a complaint. They're going to do all their internal things, and they're going to get back to you lickety-split. They will not, okay? Right? It's a process. It takes time. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It should be in that complaint process how many days it will take them to get back to you. The response will be formal, so understand that. It's going to have a good cover letter and all the details. It might have some legal lingo in there, things that we might have to look up and really delve into to really understand what are you really saying. Speak English. It will cite policy. Our policy says this, and this is how we complied or did not comply. And they should be responding in writing. Systems respond in writing just like we form complaints or file complaints in writing. Because just like paper protects parents, paper protects systems too. So we have to be really, really clear about that. That's what you can expect. So then what do I want you not to do? What are we not going to do? Okay. Once we have filed this complaint, what is it that we are not going to do? We are not going to escalate because we haven't heard from them in 3 days. We already know it's going to take them some time. There's a process, right? We're dealing with a machine, institutions. So don't escalate emotionally. Don't get upset because it's taking them a little while. Don't post prematurely. Don't go on a social media rampage. If you're having meetings with families and things like that, that's great. Go ahead and do that. But we're not posting on social media prematurely. And don't abandon your documentation. Continue to document everything, because you don't know if you'll need it. Did something shift? Did something change? We need to be aware of that. Don't stop communicating and writing at all. Everything. Remember, paper protects parents. If it's not in writing, it did not happen. You stay disciplined, you stay documented, and you stay calm. Let me say it again. You stay disciplined, you stay documented, you stay calm. That's what we're doing even after we file. We stay the course because our children are worth it. We stay the course because we want to shift a system. We stay the course because our children's academic outcomes are directly tied to our involvement, our engagement, allocation of funds, all of the things. So I need you all to understand and be aware of that. Okay? All right. We're going to keep it moving, y'all. We're going to keep it moving. We're making really good time actually tonight. I'm happy. I'm happy about that. Because you all, if you haven't been with me before for Policy Pulse, we try to stay 45 minutes to an hour. Early on, we went significantly over, but I really have kind of reeled it in and got us where we need to be. So I'm really excited about that, happy about that, because I don't want to keep you all in the evenings at all. So one of the things I want you to be aware of also is that federal law prohibits retaliation. So, because that's a real concern, right? We're dealing with human beings that may feel personally attacked, even though that's not what this is, right? They may get in their feelings, may hit them. They may already be on the ropes about something else. And because of that, maybe your child is getting some fallout. Maybe something's happening in a way that didn't happen before. And the only difference is that now my name is on this report. But let me be clear, and I want you to hear me and hear me well, that federal law prohibits retaliation. You cannot be legally punished in any shape, form, or fashion for filing a complaint, for escalating, for asking for documentation, for participating in compliance processes. So you say, Katina, I know that that's what the law says, but what if retaliation occurs? That's another violation. You write it down, you document it. Then we're speaking to board members. We're speaking to state officials, because we have a state board of education. We have the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Immediately, you document it and you report it immediately. Okay? I want you to be really, really clear about that and understand and know that you do not need permission to use, to activate, to stand on, to require your rights. You don't need permission. And I need you all to understand that. This is empowering information. Remember, I said last week, this is some information people don't want you to know. But I do, because I understand what it means to be civically engaged and empowered to advocate and work on behalf of children. And we can't do it alone. It takes all of us. So I want us to be really, really clear about that. Okay? All right. So let us keep going, y'all. Let us keep going. Let us keep going. So the bigger picture is simple, really. You know, I want people to understand, I want you all to understand when you see this, is that this is not about one family in one school. It's bigger than that. Title I funds, usually the largest pot of federal dollars that comes into a school or a school district, those are federal funds, right? They are meant to serve students most in need. Let me say that for the people in back. Title I dollars Usually the largest pot of federal funds that are coming into a school or school district are meant to serve the students with the most need. Hard stop. Parent engagement is mandated. And compliance protects equity. This isn't about being difficult. It's about protecting opportunity. That's what it's about. So I want you all to hear me when I say that. And I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Okay? Title I funds usually are the largest pot of federal dollars that come to a school or a school district. And they are meant to serve students most in need. Parent engagement is mandated, and compliance protects equity. This isn't about being difficult. It's about walking and operating in your power, advocating for your children, and protecting opportunity. That's what it's about. So I want you all to be really, really clear about that. All right? So here's what you need to do. You say, what's next? What we got to do? What we got to do, Katina? Well, I'm going to tell you, right? You need read the policy. Ask for the policies and read them. If you need help, you don't understand them, once you get them, reach out. Contact me. I'll help you. Or another parent that you trust. Attend the meetings, PTA meetings, PTO meetings, school advisory councils, SAC, SAC, or DAC, district advisory council meetings, school board meetings, Title I meetings. If your school has a monthly parent meeting, go. And I get that we are limited on time. We have a lot of responsibilities, but the question I will put forth is, are your children worth it? They are. As are you. Because this has been going on a long time. So if someone dropped the ball or our parents weren't informed, weren't educated, weren't empowered to act on our behalf, we now are empowered. We now are educated. We now know and have the information we need to advocate for our children or our grandchildren. You're going to ask questions respectfully. You're going to document concerns, and you're going to follow the formal process that is in place. That's what you're going to do. And I'm going to tell you real quick, systems do not change because you complain. We've been complaining about a lot of things for a long time, and systems have yet to change. But systems change when you start documenting things. Systems change when you put it on paper and you file it. Systems change when we are consistent and people see that we are not moving. This Black History Month, y'all, we already have a blueprint for mobilizing and organizing. We just need to follow it, reactivate it, right? That's all we need to do. We're not new to this. We're true to this. So that's what it is. That's what we need to be doing. And I want you, again, 1 is okay. 10 is better. So who else? You've watched 10 parts to this series. What other parent can you encourage? Go back and watch Ms. Taylor's Policy Pulse 10-part series on Title I. Did y'all know about this? Let me tell you what she said. Let's go look this up and make sure she's telling the truth. Plug it in the ChatGPT. Talk to an attorney or another parent. They'll tell you. I'm not making it up. I wouldn't do that to you. And remember, JD's on the end of my name too. Okay? So what is next? What is next? I want you to choose your lane because everyone has value in this situation and circumstance, and everyone may not be able to do the same thing. All of us have different strengths and weaknesses. So what strength, what skill, what talent can you bring to bear as we are mobilizing and organizing to address Title I issues in our schools and our school districts, right? First thing, just stay informed. What's happening? When are our meetings? Organize with other parents. I've already talked about that. Start a private Facebook group. Does your SAC or your PTA or your PTO already have one? Join the group. Have the conversations. Host somebody in your home, or y'all meet for coffee or at the library. Whatever it is you need to do, organize with other parents. Request documents in writing with clear timelines of when you expect to receive a response. If you find that your school is compliant, they are doing everything great, celebrate that, support that, call that out publicly. Maybe what that does is then encourage another school district to put the policies, procedures in place and then operate by them, because they want to be celebrated too. We don't always want to show up complaining and fussing about things. We want to celebrate the good things too, right? Most importantly, we have to hold schools accountable and responsible. What can you do? Share the series. What can you do? Assume good faith. Give some grace. Maybe an individual hasn't been given all of the rules, the regulations, the policies, the procedures to be compliant. Maybe they thought, oh, I thought we were doing it right. So assume good faith. Whew, that's hard sometimes. But what I often say to my son, and I'll say it to you all as well, is this. Grant people the same level of grace that you need them to grant you, because we are all fallible. We all can make mistakes, personally and or professionally. We're human beings. We're not going to always get it right. So when you assume good faith, what you're doing is you're granting grace. We all require accountability. So I want you all to understand that, right? You can be firm. You can be assertive without being aggressive and mean, right? You can hold people accountable and responsible without being confrontational and disrespectful. So I want us to be really, really clear about that. We are navigating processes, procedures, institutions, and systems. So I will tell you this. I'm so excited. That's all the information I have for you all tonight. But I don't want you to get off. Don't get off. Screenshot this if you need to. You don't even need to see me. I'm putting it up there on the screen. What happens next, very simply, can I talk today? Is we are going to have a follow-up. A lot of people go, okay, well, you did this 10-part series. What's next? We are having a parent rights briefing, specifically about navigating Title I. I told you I'm still here. I will be here to support. I'm not going anywhere, because remember, I have grandchildren in schools as well. So you can scan the QR code or you can use the link that is up there. Either way is fine. It will take you to the registration page. No one will be admitted if they haven't registered. You will, once you register, you will get the link to attend the parents' rights briefing, right? I'm not going to leave you out here by yourself. I promise you I'm not. So the series does end tonight. But as I said, the work does not. The work does not. So you may be saying, well, when is the briefing? Well, I'll tell you. It is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. Of course, on this slide, you still have the link. You still have the QR code. It's going to be via Zoom. It's at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you are ready to move from awareness, which is what this series has been, to action, structured action. That's what I am doing. I am hosting the parents' rights briefing. Again, that's on March 3rd, right? 6 o'clock p.m. via Zoom. It is registration only. So if you do not register, you will not be admitted. And I want you all to understand that this is not about venting. This is not about an individual family. This is really about shifting systems and institutions and holding people accountable and responsible, right? So we are talking about navigating Title I with clarity and strategy. Again, that's going to be on March 3rd. That is 6 o'clock p.m. Is via Zoom. Again, you can register at the link. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the link in our comments so you guys will have it. Let me switch over, put that right there. Share that link with your PTA, your PTO, your SAC, your DAC, school administrators, Title I coordinators, district level leaders. Anybody can come as long as they register. Superintendents, school district legal folks, executive directors of schools, school board members, all are welcome because we want to collaborate to solve any non-compliance issues. This is not about targeting a particular school or a particular district or a particular person, right? That's not what this is. So I want us to be really, really clear about what we're doing, why we're doing, and how we are doing it. Just want you all to be really clear. Again, that is March 3rd, 6 o'clock p.m. via Zoom. You can register using the QR code. You can use the link that I put in the comments section. Feel free to share this information. I'll be posting a lot about this across all social media platforms. If you're on my email list, you'll get my emails to remind you all, to encourage you all, to organize, to mobilize so that we can address this issue, right? Again, this is not a public forum, so it's not a gripe session. We're not coming to vent. We're not doing any of that. It is structured. It is private in that you have to register in order to attend. It is lawful. We are allowed by law to do this, and it is collaborative by nature. So it really is designed for parents that are ready to assess compliance thoughtfully, strategically. That's what I want you all to understand. This is not about fighting, folks. I don't have the energy to fight. So I want you all to be really, really clear about that. I'm going to take myself off screen. Make sure you have this. You can screenshot it, right? You can jot down the information. And again, you'll be seeing more posts about this for sure. So this is where we are, y'all. The series ends, but the work begins. If you know anything about me, I always say that literacy is liberation. That stands on the words of Frederick Douglass. It says, once you learn to read, you are forever free. Policy is power. And I want you all to understand that you are partners in the education of your children. You are not spectators. Not at all. And that's how we have to operate. So while the series is ending, Policy Pulse is not ending. This is just a 10-part series focused on Title I. We will continue to talk about policies in Missouri. We'll talk about policies in Kansas. We'll also talk about national policies that have a direct impact on you and your children in the schools and school districts in which they find themselves. So understand and know every Thursday, Policy Pulse will continue. The Title I series is ending. But remember, even the Title I work continues. So you show up for the Parents' Rights briefing on March 3rd. Get registered for that. Share that. Encourage other folks to attend. Remember that you are partners in the education of your children. You should be treated as such. You are not spectators, right? So the goal, again, it's not conflict, it is clarity. And when clarity exists, we know who benefits. That's our students. That's our young people. So I thank you all so much for being here this evening. I really, really do. I thank you all that have been with me for every single session around Title One, the 10-part series. I thank you for those that have commented, that have shared, that have watched, taken notes, asked questions, commented, whatever it is that you have done to, first and foremost, to just empower and educate yourself and then share that information with others. I am so happy and thrilled that we are doing this work together. All right. So thank you for being here. I will see you all, I believe, I hope, I pray, on March 3rd. That's all I have. As I always say, let's get lit, y'all. Have a great night. Thank you for tuning in.
Big changes in schools, it's time to know what's shaping classrooms, where do we go? Policy shifting, rules on the move. Parents and teachers get